Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, I'm going to be ranking the top 8 players that the Las Vegas Raiders need to resign. And I've been getting asked a bunch, Mitch. All right, well, who do you want to bring back? How much money should you offer them? We're going to talk about all that stuff here today, and I'm going to rank them from 8 to 1. Before I get into this, some of y'all who watch the show for a long time know I was a Pokemon junkie, and I know, it's kind of nerdy, it's kind of dorky, but you know what? I loved this when I was a kid. I want to play a game. Who's that Raider? Well, I'm going to tell you who that Raider is. If you want to guess it down in the comments, please do so. I'm going to tell you at the end of today's show. So here we go. Starting at number 8 here are my Raiders free agents to re-sign. At number 8, running back Amir Abdullah. And the biggest reason why I want to bring back Abdullah is because, 1, he's a really good pass-catching running back, and 2, he offers you some versatility in terms of kick return, punt return, and special teams is obviously very important for any team that you play on. He was the best kick returner the Raiders had last season, and there was at times where I kind of wish that they would put him at punt return for the simple fact of I would always get scared when freaking Hunter Renfrow would get back there, not because I don't have confidence in Renfrow, it's because of he's had so many injuries and concussion issues. So when you think about Abdullah coming in, if I'm going to sit up here on these shows all the time and say that I believe the Raiders bring in a guy like Brady, hell, if you bring in Brady, if you bring in any kind of young quarterback, they're going to want somebody that can catch the football. So Spotrac, they didn't have a value for him. So what you guys are going to see here is either Mitch's market value or Spotrac market value. I believe Abdullah, since he signed a minimum deal last season, he might get a little bit extra money this year. So like $1.5 million a year, bring him in on a 1-year type of deal. It's worth it. He had 25 catches last season, 211 yards, a touchdown. I know Jeremy and I, we always made jokes about if it's third and anything over 10, here comes a screen to Abdullah, and definitely times that's frustrating, but having an extra back who can help out Jacobs, who can just come in and be that solid guy that can catch a football, it can go a long way, especially in today's NFL. If you're wondering, all right, Mitch, why should I subscribe to the Raiders Report? You tell me literally every single show, which, sorry, it's my job. So you get videos every single day. We're going to go live at least twice a week. You're going to get 3 live shows this week, so that's kind of cool. Interactive YouTube channel. More subs equals more videos, and it's 100% free. I always tell people this. Subscribe to the show. Watch it for a week. If you don't feel like you learned anything, and if you don't feel like you had a good time, unsubscribe. I just don't think that that's going to happen. We're a channel built by Raider Nation for Raider Nation. Let me prove you why we're the #1 Raiders YouTube channel out there. Let's go to number 7 here on my list of Raiders free agents to re-sign. It's Mack Hollins, and I'm going to bring up a lot of examples kind of very similar to what I talked about with Abdullah. I like Mack Hollins. I like what he brings to the table. He's a fun player, brings a lot of emotion, and not only that, he's a leader. You need as many leaders as humanly possible coming off a season where you finish 6-11, and let's face it, we got to face the facts. It was a disappointment this year. He's coming off a career year, and he is a great special teams player. Not a good. He's one of the best special teams players in the NFL. He might be top 5 gunner in the league, and when you see his ability to pin people inside of the 5, inside of the 10, that can go a long way. He also has speed. He's a good athlete. He is a tremendous blocker, and if you want to be able to pay somebody like Jacobs, guess what? You need somebody who can block for you. His Spotrac market value is at $2.4 million. So you're telling me I believe that we can get Mack Hollins and Ameer Abdullah for somewhere around $3.5 million and solve a lot of our special teams issues? The answer to that question is yes. Yes, it is. Now, I know if I asked y'all, who's the #1 free agent that the Raiders should bring back? Every person's going to say Josh Jacobs. So you see this up here? Besides Josh Jacobs. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's show because I do think it's important where you think, all right, how are we going to invest our money? Besides Josh Jacobs, who is the top free agent you want the Las Vegas Raiders to bring back? You're going to get hit with a YouTube ad break right now, so scroll on down and let me know. Let's go to number 6 now on my list of Raiders free agents to re-sign, Duron Harmon. I'll be honest, it almost seems like he's ranked too low. I love Harmon. I love everything that he brings on and off the field. I was super excited when the Raiders signed him, and I told people, Harmon's going to be a player very similar to Casey Hayward. Why? Because they are. They're leaders, right? And when you see a leader, people rally behind and around that guy. I mean, the fact that he's 31, now he's 32 years old, he could still play at a pretty good level. The Raiders don't have a lot of depth as it stands right now at safety, but they're also extremely young. I mean, the fact that the first year that he comes in, he was named a captain, that should speak volumes. His 2022 PFF grade, 72.3 overall, a 77.6 coverage grade. I want guys in my secondary that can cover. And a Spotrac market value at $2.9 million. I mean, are you kidding me? I can have the first 3 guys on our team back, and I still have a lot of money to spend. If I can spend less than $7 million and get all 3 of those players, personally, I think you'd be almost stupid not to do it. Now, today's show is sponsored by Magic Spoon, and when I was a kid, man, I crushed cereal. And then I started breaking out with acne, started getting a little bit chunky, and I realized, well, maybe I can't eat cereal as much as I would like to. So the Raiders Report is sponsored by my favorite cereal, Magic Spoon. Growing up, cereal was one of the best parts of being a kid, but I had to give it up because I realized it was full of sugar and junk that you really shouldn't eat. But Magic Spoon is cereal reinvented. I start every day with a bowl of Magic Spoon. It tastes amazing, and honestly, it's too good to be true. Magic Spoon tastes exactly like regular cereal from your childhood, but it's super nutritious with 13 to 14 grams of protein and 0 grams of sugar. Magic Spoon comes in delicious flavors such as cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter, and has only 140 calories per serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free. I love Magic Spoon because it tastes great and it's good for you. I'm never going to go back to regular cereal. Start your new year off right with Magic Spoon. Use the QR code on screen or go to magicspoon.com/chat and use my code chat for $5 off your own personal Magic Spoon variety pack and stay on track for your New Year's resolutions. That's magicspoon.com/chat and or scan the QR code and use the code chat. Link's going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. Magic Spoon is also so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they're going to refund you your money, no questions asked. I'll tell you what, the amount of Raiders free agents that they've brought in the past, imagine if you get your money back 100% guaranteed. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case. Magic Spoon, they're very confident, and I am too. magicspoon.com/chat. Number 5 here of my Raiders free agents to bring back for this offseason, Jermaine Eluemunor. And I wanted the Raiders to bring back Jermaine Eluemunor, and I kind of anticipated it because of his connections with New England before, his connections with Carmen Brasillo. But when you right now look at this Raiders offensive line, I believe at the start of next year, the only 2 guys guaranteed are going to be Colton Miller, Dylan Parham. I think you're going to move on from Andre James, but Eluemunor, he was really good this past season, and he's been a very reliable offensive lineman. The fact that he can play offensive tackle and offensive guard, here's the versatility word again. Coaches love that kind of stuff. And he's clearly a good fit with Carmen Brasillo. Spotrac right now has his market value at $5.6 million. And personally, I think it's actually going to come in a little bit less than that. Now, sure, there could be an NFL team out there that gives him a little bit more, but if I was Eluemunor, I would try to come back to the Raiders because I think if he comes back to the Raiders, he's going to start again. And 940 snaps this past year, according to PFF, a 75.3 overall grade, 76.1 pass blocking grade, a run blocking grade of 75.7, and the biggest reason why this is super impressive, he played in all 17 games, gave up 3 sacks. You can say what it is, but the reason why this is impressive, think about the right guards he played next to. Alex Bars stinks. John Simpson. All right. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So for Jermaine Eluemunor to have the year that he did, playing next to the guys he played next to, I mean, my hat's off to Jermaine, no doubt about it. So I'm going to play a little bit of a game here. And when you talk about salary cap, sometimes it can be difficult, right? Because to imagine millions of dollars, it's just too difficult. So let's say you got $10, okay? You got $10 in your hand right now. How much would you spend on defense and free agency? Would you spend $7 on it and then put 3 into the offense? Or maybe would you spend $8 on it? You're just like, here's my $10 bill, all on defense. How much would you spend? I'm curious what you guys have to say down below. Let's go to number 4 here on my list of my Raiders free agents to bring back. There's going to be a lot of people that think that Denzel Perryman at number 4 is too low. And from a overall talent perspective, Sure, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I view linebackers very differently than I believe a lot of other people. I view linebackers the way that I view running backs. They're easily replaceable. Now, I will say, the fact that realistically it's only Divine Diablo coming back next year, sure, you got some younger guys in there. I like what you see in Luke Masterson, but we got to be able to face the facts here. The Raiders do need to address the linebacker room, and this has been an issue for a very long time. When you look at Perriman's 2022 PFF grades, he played a lot better than what I expected, especially in coverage. But Mitch, 61.4, that's an upgrade from what you're going to get. We know he's an elite run defender, 81.0. And the fact that he did as well as he did for this team this season, my hat's off to him. There was a lot of speculation and rumors earlier in the offseason of whether or not the Raiders would give him a contract extension. I thought that maybe one could end up going down. And yeah, he didn't have the year that he had the year before in terms of tackles, but I do say that him having the year that he did this season, in my opinion, was more impressive than his year last year because Gus Bradley defenses, you get a lot more tackles. It's not quite the same in Patrick Graham's defense, but the 14 tackles for loss, I will take that every single day of the week over all those tackles. Why? Because he was getting all those tackles last year because that's how many guys were getting through. So you look at a player that improved in coverage. He's an elite run stopper. And if you can get him right now at about $5 million, it's a good value. He's somebody who wears the green dot on his helmet. That's the quarterback of the defense. I love Denzel Perryman. The issue is I'm not going to break the bank on a linebacker. I hope he's back on the team. I'm hoping most of these guys are back on the team. But he's number 4 because of the position he plays, not because of how good he is. Let's go to number 3, Andrew Billings. The reason why Andrew Billings is 3 is, did he have a career year? Many might say so. But the biggest reason, defensive tackle is the Raiders' biggest need on the defensive side of the football. And when you look at the Raiders' defensive tackle room, it's a joke. Like, I mean that in the nicest way possible. Bilal Nichols did start to play better a little bit down the stretch of the season, but I don't have confidence in him. Jerry Tillery, free agent. Then you got 2 rookies who barely even played this season, and Neil Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler. Sure, you're hoping they take the next step, but the amount of times that they were healthy scratches this year, that tells you a lot what the coaching staff thinks of those. So why should I sit up here and be really, really confident in those players? Billings was by far the Raiders' top defensive tackle the entire season. He played 52% of the Raiders' snaps on the defensive line, basically like 477. And he didn't have a market value on Spotrac, but when you look at a lot of the other contracts for defensive tackles that have put up similar numbers to him in his career and this past season, and then you look at the age, I think it's going to be somewhere around $6 million a year. So for him to be such a good fit that he was in Patrick Graham's system, I believe that you need to make him a priority. He did 477 snaps this past year, and according to Pro Football Focus, 76.4 overall grade, a 72.3 run defense grade, pass rush 66.4. I mean, imagine if you brought back Andrew Billings, you got a healthy Chandler Jones, hopefully, then you put somebody next to him like, I don't know, Deron Payne, Duron Hargrave, Dalvin Tomlinson. Guess what? He's probably going to have even better of a season. So I hope the Raiders figure out a way to bring back Billings. I'm hoping that he doesn't get too much money, and I'm hoping that he wants to come back to the Raiders because he had such a good season. Let's go to number 2 here, and it's Rock Ya-Sin. Rock Ya-Sin is number 2 on the list because I believe when he's healthy, he's one of the top players on this Raiders defense. Also, the cornerback room right now for the Silver and Black, it's thin. I am hopeful that Amik Robertson, I've been hopeful because since he's been drafted in the 4th round, 137 overall, all the way back in, 2019. I've always had faith in him. Nate Hobbs, I think you're going to have to probably move him back inside because he was a above-average outside cornerback, but he was an elite nickel corner in his rookie season. But then you got Rock, right, who, to me, when he was healthy, he was really good in Patrick Graham's system. He didn't give up a lot of yards, and I'm thinking, all right, if the Raiders can address their defensive line issues, and Rock doesn't have to cover people for 4 or 5 seconds, well, guess what? He might even be better. The biggest issue and the biggest red flag when you talk about Ya-Sin, it's the missed games. 15 missed games the past 3 seasons. He was only able to play in 11, started in 9 this past season. The market value on Spotrac is $10.8 million. Here's the thing, though. I don't think he's going to get that because there are a lot of other good cornerbacks out on the market, and I also think because of the safety market being as good as what it is, corners like Rock might fall for a little bit shorter. So if you can get Rock Ya-Sin for $8-9 million, I think you pull the trigger on it and you try to do it. A young, physical corner. Yes, the injuries scare me, but when he's healthy, that's what I'm thinking about right now. Healthy Rock Ya-Sin. He's number 2 on my list. Also, he's getting better. I look for improvement. When a player can show me improvement, and the rating that you see here is quarterback rating against. Improvement. A quarterback rating of 82.6. I mean, a lot of people were like, Carr was terrible. I mean, Carr was in the 90s, right? So or 86, something like that. Either way, Rock Ya-Sin's getting better, and I think he's going to get even better in year 5, which means, number 1, I know, it's no surprise, it's Josh Jacobs. I mean, considering the fact that he was the best running back in the NFL this past season, the fact that this man was not even a finalist for Offensive Player of the Year, he said it, though. He said it, and he knew. It's because the Raiders didn't win football games. It still doesn't make sense to me. You can make an argument that he was the Offensive Player of the Year. You can make an argument he was the best running back in the NFL. But here's the facts. I don't have confidence right now in Zamir White. Brandon Bolden's somebody I think you're going to move on from, and it's a lot of different things going on. He is, as it stands right now, call me crazy, he was the best running back in the National Football League. The new quarterback that you bring in, you need a solid running game. And right now with Spotrac market value at $12.8 million, I personally don't think that you need to give him a contract extension. I know that there's going to be backs out there that want more than that, and personally, I think if you're Josh, you try to cash in. And he should. He's coming off a career year. He knows that it's probably going to be his best chance to get a big-time payday. But when you look at the injuries that he's had, the workload, giving him a big-time deal, I don't think is best interest for the Raiders. Now, he did have an incredible year, over 2,000 total yards. Him and Marcus Allen are the only Raiders running backs all time to ever have over 2,000 total yards. I mean, that speaks volumes of the type of running back he is. He led the NFL in rushing first downs. He had 12 rushing touchdowns. And every year that he's been on this team, he's been really, really good, right? So I say bring him back, but I'm not going to give him a contract extension. I'm going to franchise tag him, and I'm going to be very, very, pound my fist on the table for that. And the reason why I'm going to give him a non-exclusive is because teams can offer a contract to him, but if, he decides to go somewhere else or if a team gives him too much, well, guess what? The Raiders get 2 first-round picks, and he would have until July 15th to sign that franchise tag, and I believe that he does because, well, he gets put in a difficult situation if he decides not to. He gets fined, and at $10.1 million, you honestly could franchise tag him again next season. So here we go. My Raiders re-sign priority rankings. I got Josh Jacobs in at number 1, Rock Ya-Sin number 2, Andrew Billings at 3, Denzel Perryman at number 4, Jermaine Eluemunor at 5, Duron Harmon 6, Mack Hollins at 7, Amir Abdullah at number 8, and that's going to be it for today's show, right? No, I know some of my Pokemon fanatics out there were like, Mitch, I swear to God, I'm going to unsubscribe if you don't tell me who that Raider is. I did try to keep it a little bit easy on round 1. I'm going to continue to try to bring up this game throughout the offseason, and we will get more difficult as the year goes on. So who's that Raider? I mean, come on, y'all. It's Max Crosby. I figured this iconic picture would be a little bit easier for all of y'all. And if this is the first time you've ever tuned into the show, I promise you this. You're going to get a lot of information. You're going to know this team better than you ever have before, and you're going to have a good time. Give me a week. That's all I ask. Raiders free agency is going to be crazy. I hope a lot of these players end up putting on that shield again because I do think it's one of the greatest things that people can have. Putting on that shield, you say it with your chest. We're family around here. Shout out to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and go Raiders.